What if I told you Stanford University just paid 35,000 people to do something millions of us think about doing every single day? Quit social media. And what they discovered might completely change how you think about that Instagram scroll you're probably itching to check right now. This isn't some small study with a few college students. We're talking about the largest randomized experiment ever conducted on social media and mental health. Stanford researchers literally paid people $150 to delete Facebook and Instagram for 6 weeks, and the results are both surprising and kind of unsettling. Here's what makes this fascinating. For years, we've all heard that social media is destroying our mental health. You've seen the headlines, the documentaries, the endless debates. But here's the thing. Until now, nobody could actually prove it. Sure, we had correlations showing depressed people use more social media, but that's like saying people with umbrellas cause rain. We needed real evidence, and Stanford just delivered it in a way nobody expected. The study was massive. Professors Hunt Alcott and Matthew Jenskow recruited nearly 20,000 Facebook users and over 15,000 Instagram users. These weren't casual users either. Everyone spent at least 15 minutes daily on their platforms. The researchers placed survey invitations directly in people's feeds, which is pretty meta when you think about it. Here's where it gets clever. They randomly split participants into 2 groups. The first group got paid $150 to deactivate their accounts for 6 weeks. The control group only got $25 to deactivate for 1 week. And they timed this perfectly, right before the 2020 election when social media was at its most intense and toxic. So what happened when 35,000 people suddenly went dark on social media? The results are going to surprise you. First, the good news. People who quit Facebook showed measurable improvements in happiness, depression, and anxiety. Instagram quitters saw improvements too, though slightly smaller. In real terms, about 4% more people said they felt happy often instead of just sometimes. Now that might not sound earth-shattering, but it's a genuine, statistically significant improvement in emotional well-being from simply not scrolling. But here's where it gets really interesting. The effects weren't the same for everyone. Facebook's negative effects hit hardest for people over 35. Meanwhile, Instagram was particularly brutal for young women. Women aged 18 to 24 who quit Instagram showed improvements nearly 3 times larger than the average. That's huge, and it confirms what many have suspected about Instagram's impact on young women's mental health. You're probably wondering what people did with all that extra time. Facebook users suddenly had about 60 minutes more per day, an entire hour. And no, they didn't just switch to TikTok or Twitter. Only about 26% of that freed time went to other digital activities. Instead, people started watching more TV. But here's the beautiful part. They spent significantly more time socializing with family and friends in real life. Actual human connection replaced digital likes. Now, before you delete all your apps, there's something crucial you need to understand. The improvements were real, but they were also modest. The researchers found the effects were about 1/5 as powerful as professional interventions like therapy or mindfulness training. So yes, quitting social media helps, but it's not a magic cure for all your problems. This actually makes the findings more believable, not less. If the study had shown massive, life-changing improvements, we'd all be skeptical. Instead, it shows what many of us intuitively feel. Social media makes us a little less happy, a little more anxious, and disconnects us from real relationships. Death by 1,000 scrolls, if you will. What really stands out is how this study was designed. Previous research couldn't prove causation. Did social media make people depressed, or were depressed people just more likely to doom scroll? By randomly assigning people to quit and paying them to stick with it, Stanford created the first true experiment that could answer this question definitively. The partnership with Meta, Facebook's parent company, gave researchers unprecedented access while maintaining academic independence. The scientists had complete control over their analysis and findings. This wasn't some corporate whitewash. It was legitimate science with surprising transparency. Think about what this means for you personally. Every time you open Instagram or Facebook, you're making a trade-off. You're exchanging a small piece of your emotional well-being for what exactly? Photos of someone's breakfast? Political arguments with strangers? That dopamine hit from notifications? The study also demolishes one common fear, that social media is clinically addictive like drugs or alcohol. When paid to quit, people successfully stayed off the platforms and generally felt better for it. True addiction doesn't work that way. You can quit social media, you just need a good enough reason. Here's what's really powerful about these findings. They're not telling you social media is evil or that you need to become a digital hermit. They're showing you the actual cost of your scrolling habit, a measurable dip in happiness, and increased anxiety, especially if you're a young woman on Instagram or over 35 on Facebook. The researchers concluded that this provides some of the best evidence to date about social media's role in the psychological decline we've seen since 2010. It's not the whole story, but it's definitely a chapter. So what do you do with this information? Maybe you try your own experiment. Not for 6 weeks necessarily, but what about a weekend? What about one day? Pay attention to how you feel. Notice what you do with the time. See if that constant background anxiety quiets down just a little bit. The beautiful irony is that 35,000 people had to be paid to discover what happens when we stop doing something that supposedly makes us happy. Maybe that tells us everything we need to know. What do you think? Would you take $150 to quit social media for 6 weeks? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.